is the book of the most renowned Christian King Arthur, which I, a knight Sir Thomas Malory, writ when as I was imprisoned for divers causes, as thus the stealing of cattle, breaking into a church and an abbey, extortion, theft, assault, rape, and murder. Yet in this book shall be found much noble chivalry, courtesy, humanity, friendliness, hardiness, love, friendship, cowardice, murder, hate, virtue, and sin. For to pass the time, this book shall be pleasant to read in. But for to believe that all is true that is contained therein, it being taken from the French, ye be at your liberty. So when the quest of the San Grail was fulfilled, then was there great joy in the court. Yet in short space Sir Lancelot forgat the holy promise he made in the quest, and began to resort unto Queen Guinevere again. And so they loved together more hotter than toforehand, that many in the court spake of it. But the noble King Arthur spake no word thereof to no man, for he had a deeming of the passages between Queen Guinevere and Sir Lancelot, but ever he kept it close in his breast as a deeming, for he knew full well, if the tale were opened to the world, the round table would be disparbled and broken forever. Then was Sir Lancelot never so ill at ease, for he knew what men said of him, that he was in very sooth the best knight in the world. For he himself knew the truth of it full otherwise, and ever he had a privy fear lest his shame be discovered to the world. And so the month of May was come, when every lusty heart beginneth to blossom and to burgeon. For like as trees and herbs burgeoneth and flourisheth in May, so in likewise every lusty heart that is any manner of lover then springeth, burgeoneth, buddeth, and flourisheth in lusty deeds. For then all trees and herbs reneweth the man and woman, and in likewise lovers call again to their mind old gentleness and old service, and many kind deeds that were forgotten by negligence. Therefore, like as May month flowereth and flourisheth in every man's garden, so in likewise let every man of worship flourish his heart in this world, first unto God, and next unto the joy of her that he promised his faith unto. For there was never a worshipful man nor worshipful woman, but they loved one better than another, and worship in arms may never be foiled. But first reserve the honour of God, and secondly thy quarrel must come of thy lady, and such love I call virtuous love. But nowadays men cannot love together 7 nights, but they must have all their desires. That love cannot endure by reason, for where they be soon accorded and hasty, heat soon cooleth. And right so fareth the love nowadays, soon hot, soon cold. This is no stability. But the old love was not so. Men and women could love together 7 years, and no liquorish lusts were between them. And then was love, truth, and faithfulness. And so in likewise was used love in King Arthur's days. And so it was this Maytime with the Queen and with Sir Lancelot. For at the first he had loved her long in silence, and spake no word unto her of his privy loving, nor to none other. And though the Queen had a deeming of it, and liked him passing well, yet for a great while she was in likewise silent. But at the last, as I have told afore, the love brast forth in them, and so they opened it to one another, and so they joyed in it and flourished at this time. And oft they were abed, and wondrous easy. Yet in this season, even in the month of May, there befell a great anger and unhappy, that stinted not till the flower of chivalry of the world was destroyed and slain. And all was long upon 2 unhappy knights, that were named Sir Agravaine and Sir Mordred, that were brethren to Sir Gawain. For this Sir Agravaine and Sir Mordred had ever a privy hate unto Dame Guinevere and to Sir Lancelot, and daily and nightly they watched upon Sir Lancelot. Then Sir Agravaine said all openly, that many knights in the court might hear it, I marvel we be not ashamed both to see and to know how Sir Lancelot lieth daily and nightly by the Queen Dame Guinevere, and all we know well that it is so. Then spake Sir Gawain his brother, and said, Brother Agravaine, move no such matters afore me. Do as ye list, said Sir Agravaine. I will be silent no longer. Then came in King Arthur, and asked them what noise they made. My lord, said Agravaine, our tale is of Sir Lancelot du Lac, and of how he holdeth your queen, and hath done long, and therefore we will prove it that he is a traitor to your person. If it be so, said the king, wit you well he is none other. But I would be loath to begin such a thing, but I might have proofs upon it. For Sir Lancelot is an hardy knight, and all ye know he is the best knight among us all. But if he be taken with the deed, he will fight with him that bringeth up the noise, and I know no knight that is able to match him. Therefore, Sir Agravaine, an it be sooth as ye say, I would he were taken with the deed. My lord, said Agravaine, ye shall ride to morn and hunting. And doubt ye not, Sir Lancelot will not go with you. And then you may send the queen word that ye will lie out all that night, and then you may send for your cooks. And then upon pain of death, that night we shall take Sir Lancelot with the queen. Then was the king in mickle dread and sadness. He knew full well that Sir Lancelot and the Queen were like to be together, and was full loath lest they should be discovered. And yet he knew in no wise how to avoid the same. And so he sighed, and inly wept, and slept not. On the morn, King Arthur rode and hunting, and sent word to the queen that he would be out all that night. But Sir Agravaine and Sir Mordred gat to them 12 knights, and hid them in a chamber of the castle. And these were their names: Sir Colgrevance, Sir Mador de la Porte, Sir Gingalin, Sir Meliot de Logris, Sir Galaran of Galway, Sir Melian of the Mountain, Sir Ascamore, Sir Kerselane, Sir Grumor, Sir Erior, Sir Lovel, Sir Florence, and Sir Petty Pace of Winchelsea. So when it was night, Sir Lancelot came to the Queen, so lightly he was had into the Queen's chamber. Then, as the French book saith, Sir Lancelot du Lac and Queen Guinevere were together. Whether they were abed or at other manner of disports, we list not thereof make no mention, for love that time was not as love is nowadays. But right thus as they were together, there came Sir Agravaine and Sir Mordred, and said with great crying and scaring voice, Traitor knight, Sir Lancelot du Lac, now art thou taken. Alas, said the Queen, now we mischief both. Madam, said Sir Lancelot, is there here any armour within your chamber? Truly, said the Queen, I have here none armour, neither helm, shield, sword, nor spear here within my chamber. And ever Sir Agravaine and Sir Mordred cried, Traitor knight, come out of the Queen's chamber. Then Sir Lancelot wrapped his mantle about his arm well and surely, and unbarred the door, and with his left hand opened it a little, that but one man might come in at once. And there came striding a good knight, a much man and a large, and his name was Colgrevance of Gore. And he struck at Sir Lancelot mightily, but he put aside the stroke and gave him such a buffet upon the helmet that he fell grovelling dead within the chamber door. And then with the help of the Queen and her ladies, Sir Lancelot was lightly armed in Sir Colgrevance's armour, and ever Sir Agravaine and Sir Mordred cried, Traitor knight, come forth out of the Queen's chamber. Then Sir Lancelot set all open the chamber door, and strode in full knightly among them. There might none withstand Sir Lancelot one buffet. Slew Sir Agravaine, and also he wounded Sir Mordred, that therewithal he fled with all his might. Then Sir Lancelot returned again to the Queen and said, Now is all our true love brought to an end. Now will King Arthur ever be my foe? Nay, said the Queen, I know not that. For oft thou hast gone hence aforetimes, and ever thou hast come back again. And for the good King Arthur, my lord, he ever loved thee passing well. He will love me the less for this night's deeds, said Sir Lancelot, wherefore I needs must hence to summon all my knights. For if the king seek to burn thee for what hath passed, then delverly must I deliver you, for much I fear me lest ye may be brent. Nay, go not hence so hasty, said the Queen, for if thou dost, thou art no true lover unto me, nor no true knight. Nay, said Sir Lancelot, I am a true knight to thee, for I have endured many woes and crosses for thy sake, and all manner of trials and of thwartings. So all men must that will love a mortal woman, said the Queen. For bliss in this world, it is a seldom thing, and all manner of maugre and of woe, of noyance and of grame, they are a common thing, as is a sparrow. Well, said he, I will endure both what must be and what may be, for I have for thee all manner both of longing and of liking, so that I trow I have for thee as good thoughts and as gentle as ever a man may have unto a mortal woman. So say all knights that be'n with ladies, said Queen Guinevere. Fie, fie, said Sir Lancelot. Thou know'st right well, thou art my very heart's blood, the nourish of my soul. But when I look upon thy eyes, this world is a dark and dreary place to me. But for thy two iron, they be both as stars. For they be bright as stars are, and eke as dark as the night is, or as the grapes are in my land of Benwick, and eke as bigly. And ever they be as broad in thy brow as a pommel, and as deep as the sea. And ever they be as dangerous to me as is the sea, and all as mutable. For oft they be as merry as is the Maytime, and all as often as sad as a knight that is unhorsed at the jousting. And yet ever they be more wondrous unto me, and more pleasant, yea, more fiery and more gentle, than is the visage of God's angel upon a summons. Nay, all thou dost, and all thou sayest, and all thou art, and all thou seemest, is sweet unto me and to my soul. Yea, lovely. Ah, Lancelot, ye ever spake too large, said the queen. Wherefore I pray you stint thy tongue and get thee hence, for an ye stay ye will be taken, and then I dread lest ye be slain. Ah, Guinevere, thou art fair, said Sir Lancelot. And so he kissed her, and either gave other a ring. And so Sir Lancelot left the queen, and went until his lodging. So Sir Mordred watched and played the lurker. Now when Sir Bors, his nephew, and Sir Palomides, and other of Sir Lancelot's kin beheld him, they were never so glad of his homecoming. And so he told them all how and in what manner he escaped. Then Sir Bors said plainly, by my advice, insomuch ye were taken with the queen, whether ye did right or wrong, ye shall now take the woe with the weal. For if my lady Dame Guinevere be in distress, then knightly should ye rescue her. For an she be brent for your sake, the shame should be evermore yours. Jesu, defend me from shame, said Sir Lancelot. And so they abode still, to wit what the king would do. Then came Sir Mordred unto King Arthur, sore wounded and all forbled, and told the king all how it was. Jesu mercy, said the king, took you him in the queen's chamber? Yes, so God me help, said Mordred. There we found him unarmed, and anon he slew Colgrevance, and armed him in his armor, and so slew a dozen of your knights, that I alone escaped me. Jesu mercy, said the king, he is a marvelous knight of prowess. Alas, me so repenteth that ever Sir Lancelot will be against me, for now I am sure the noble fellowship of the Round Table is broken forever, for with him will many a noble knight hold. And since it is fallen now as it is fallen, it is no boot, but the queen must suffer death. Then spake Sir Gawain, and said, my lord Arthur, be not over hasty. Though it were so that Sir Lancelot were found in the queen's chamber, it may be so that he came thither for none evil. Peradventure she sent for him to reward him for his good deeds that he had done to her in time past. For oftentimes we do many things that we deem for the best be, and yet peradventure it turneth to the worst. Yet I dare swear, my lady your queen is to you both good and true. As for Sir Lancelot, I dare say he will make it good upon any knight living that will put upon him villainy and shame. That I believe well, said King Arthur. But I will not that way with Sir Launcelot, for he trusteth so much upon his hands and his might that he doubteth no man. Therefore for my queen he shall not fight, for she shall have the law. So the queen was led forth without Carlisle into the meadow, and there she was despoiled into her smock. But when Sir Launcelot beheld the queen despoiled and shriven, he rode forth with all his knights, and right so they came to the fire that was kindled for her, and who that stood there against them, there were they slain. There might none withstand Sir Launcelot. And so in this rushing and hurling, as Sir Launcelot thrang here and there, it fortuned him to slay Sir Gaheris and Sir Gareth, for they were unarmed and unwares. And so they were found dead in the thickest of the press. Howbeit Sir Launcelot saw them not, but rode straight unto Dame Guinevere, and made cast a kirtle and gown upon her, and made her to be set behind him, and bade her to be of good cheer. And so he rode with the queen unto his castle of Joyous Guard, among a great heap of dead men. When it was told King Arthur how and in what manner of wise the queen was taken from the fire, and when he was told of the death of his good knights, and in especial of Sir Gareth's death, then he swooned for very pure sorrow. When he awoke of his swoon, he said thus: Alas, that ever I bear crown upon my head, for now I have lost the fairest fellowship of good knights that ever held Christian king together. Mercy Jesu! Why slew he Sir Gaheris and Sir Gareth? For I dare say, as for Sir Gareth, he loved Sir Launcelot above all men earthly. Alas, the death of them will cause the greatest mortal war that ever was. And now am I much sorrier for my good knight's loss than for the loss of my fair queen. For queens I might have enow, but such a fellowship of good knights shall never be no more in this world. Ah, Agravain, Agravain, Jesu forgive it thy soul, for thine evil will unto Sir Launcelot hath caused all this sorrow. Then came there a man to Sir Gawain, and told him what had passed. Ha, Jesu, said Sir Gawain, full well wist I that Sir Launcelot would rescue her, and to say the truth, he had not been of worship had he not rescued her, insomuch she should have been brent for his sake. But where are my brethren? I marvel I hear not of them. Sir, said the man, Launcelot slew them both. Alas, said Sir Gawain, now is all my joy gone. And forthwith he ran into the king and said, Ah, my lord Arthur, my good brother Sir Gareth is slain, and so is Sir Gaheris, that bear none arms upon them. And therefore I require you, my lord and king, dress you to the war, for which you well I will be revenged upon Sir Launcelot. And therefore I promise unto God, I shall seek him thorough 7 kings' realms, but I shall slay him, other else he shall slay me. Ye shall not need to seek him so far, said the king, For as I hear say, he abides within the castle of the Joyous Guard, and much people draweth unto him, as I hear say. That may I right well believe, said Sir Gawaine. Wherefore, my lord, assay your friends, and I shall assay mine. And so the king sent letters and writs throughout all England, over thwart and endlong, both the length and the breadth, for to summon all his knights. So it fell upon a day in harvest time that Sir Launcelot looked over the walls of Joyous Guard and saw King Arthur and Sir Gawaine coming hither with a great host. Now come forth an thou durst, said Arthur unto Sir Launcelot, and I promise thee I shall meet thee amidst of the field. God defend me, said Sir Launcelot, that ever I should encounter with the most noble king that made me knight. Now, fie upon thy fair language, said the king, for wit thou well and trust it, I am thy mortal foe. For thou hast slain my good knights, and lain by my queen, and holden her many winters, and now thou hast taken her away from me by force. My most noble lord and king, said Sir Launcelot, ye may say what ye will, but that I have holden my lady your queen years and winters, unto that I shall ever make a large answer, and prove it upon any knight that beareth the life, except your person and Sir Gawaine, that my lady, Queen Guinevere, is as true a lady to your body and person as is any lady living unto her lord. Howbeit it hath liked her good grace to have me in favour, and cherish me more than any other knight, and unto my power again I have deserved her love. Fie upon thy bobons and thy boasting, said Sir Gawaine. As for my lady the queen, wit thou well I will never say her shame. But thou, false and recreant knight, what cause hadst thou to slay my good brother Sir Gareth? Thou slewest him in the despite of me. That me repenteth ye should think so, said Sir Launcelot. For well I understand, it helpeth me not to seek none accordment, while ye, Sir Gawaine, are so mischievously set. And if ye were not so full of maugre and of malice, I would not doubt to have again the good grace of my lord King Arthur. So then Sir Gawaine made many men to blow upon Sir Launcelot, and so all at once they called him false recreant knight. those aboars encountered with King Arthur, and there with a spear smote him down. And so he alit and drew his sword, meaning to slay him. Nay, not so hardy, said Sir Lancelot. My lord Arthur, for God's love, stint this strife, for ye get no worship hereby. Forever I forbear you in the throng, and ye nor none of yours forbeareth not me. So, when the king was back on horseback, he looked upon Sir Lancelot, and then the tears brast out of his eyne, thinking on the great courtesies that were in Sir Lancelot more than in any other man. Therewith the king rode his way and said, Alas, alas, that ever this war began. So, within a little while, by evensong time, Sir Lancelot's party the better stood, for their horses went in blood past the fetlocks. There were so many people slain. And then, for very pity, Sir Lancelot withheld his knights, and either parties buried their dead, and put sweet salves unto the wounded men. So of this war, it was noised thorough all Christian realms, and at the last it was noised before the Pope, who called unto him the Bishop of Canterbury, and gave him bulls unto King Arthur of England, charging him upon pain of interdicting of all England, that he take his queen again and accord with Sir Lancelot. So when the bishop was come unto Joyous Gard, there he told Sir Lancelot the perils if he withheld the queen from the king. Sir, said Sir Lancelot, it was never in my thought to withhold the queen from my lord Arthur, but insomuch she should have been brent for my sake. Methought it was my part to save her life, and put her from that danger till better recover might come. And therefore I myself will bring the queen unto him. So Sir Lancelot purveyed him 100 knights, and every knight held a branch of olive in his hand, in tokening of peace. And right so they rode from Joyous Gard to Carlisle. So the king sat still and spake no word. Then spake Sir Lancelot, My most redoubted king, I have brought to you my lady the queen as right requireth. And now I say to thee a second time, if there be any knight of what degree that ever he be of, except your person, that will say or dare say, but that she is true and clean to you, I here myself, Sir Lancelot du Lac, will make it good upon his body. For I was sent for to the queen, I wot not for what cause. And then Sir Agravaine and Sir Mordred called me traitor and recreant knight. They call thee right, said Sir Gawaine. My lord Sir Gawaine, said Sir Lancelot, in their quarrel they proved themselves not in the right. Well, well, Sir Lancelot, said King Arthur, I have given thee no cause to do to me as thou hast done, for I have worshipped thee and thine more than any other of my knights. My good lord, said Sir Lancelot, I and my knights have done you oftentimes better service than any other knights have done thee. But this much I shall offer me. I shall go in my shirt, barefoot, and at every 10-mile end I will found and gar make an house of religion, of what order that ye will assign me, either grey or white, to sing and read requiem day and night, in especial for Sir Gareth's sake and Sir Gaheris. Then tears fell on King Arthur's cheeks. But Sir Gawain said, Sir Lancelot, I have right well heard thy language and thy great proffers. But wit thou well, let the king do as it pleaseth him, I will never forgive thee my brother's death. For wit thou well, thou art a false traitor, both to the king and to me. Sir, said Sir Lancelot, and ye will charge me with so high a thing, then must you pardon me, for then needs must I answer you. Nay, nay, said Sir Gawain, we are past that at this time, and that causeth the Pope. But wit thou well, when thou art departed hence from England, we shall soon come after, and then haply I shall prove thee a traitor wheresoe'er thou art. Then Sir Lancelot sighed, and therewith the tears fell on his cheeks. And then he said thus, Alas, most noble Christian realm, whom I have loved above all other realms, and now truly me repenteth that ever I came hitherward. For fortune is so variant, and her wheel so mutable, there is no constant abiding. And that may be seen by many old chronicles, as of noble Hector of Troy, and Alexander the mighty conqueror, and many more others. When they were most in their royalty, they are lit passing low. And so fareth it by me. For by me and mine the round table hath been increased more in worship than ever it was by any of you all. And therefore wit thou well, Sir Gawain, I shall live hence upon my lands in France as well as any knight that here is. And if ye, my most redoubted king, will come upon my lands with Sir Gawain to war upon me, I must endure you as well as I may. Make thou no more language, said Sir Gawain, but deliver the queen from thee, and pick thee lightly out of this court. So then Sir Lancelot looked toward the queen and said no word. And so he kissed her all openly. And then he said a third time, Now let's see whatsoever he be in this place that dare say my lady Queen Guinevere is not true unto my Lord Arthur. Let's see who will speak, and he dare speak. Then was there no knight so hardy as to dare so high a thing. For all men knew the truth of it, both as touching the honor of the queen and the great prowess of Sir Lancelot. And so he was suffered to depart hence unto Joyous Gard, and ever after he called it the Dolorous Gard. Sir Lancelot's knights resolved them to depart with their lord to his lands across the sea. For they said, we all understand in this realm will be now no quiet, but ever strife and debate. Now the fellowship of the Round Table is broken. For by that noble fellowship the king and all the realm was in quiet and rest, and a great part was long of your noblesse. Truly, said Sir Lancelot, I thank you all of your good saying, howbeit in me was not all the stability of this realm, but in that I did my devoir. But now ever I dread me that Mordred will make trouble, for he is passing envious, and applieth him much to trouble. So Sir Lancelot and his knights sail thence across the sea to Benwick. Some men call it Bayonne, and some men call it Beaune, where the wine of Beaune is. King Arthur yielded him to Sir Gawain and made a great host ready for to follow after. And he made his son, Sir Mordred, chief ruler of all England while he was hence. So he crossed the seas and landed upon Sir Lancelot's lands, and there he brent and wasted. And ever Sir Gawain would seek to fight with Sir Lancelot, till at the last he was full sore wounded by him. And then King Arthur searched and salved his wounds with soft ointments. Meantime was Sir Mordred ruler of all England. When he saw that King Arthur and all his knights were hence in France, he let make letters, as though that they had been written beyond the sea, specifying that King Arthur was slain in battle with Sir Lancelot. Wherefore Sir Mordred made a parliament, and there he made them to choose him king. And so he was crowned at Canterbury. And then afterwards he took Queen Guinevere and said plainly that he would wed her, that was his own father's wife. But she betook herself to the Tower of London and well garnished it with men, and so kept it. When Sir Mordred wist this, he was passing wroth out of measure, and laid a mighty siege about the tower, and made many assaults, and threw engines unto them, and shot great guns. Then came the Bishop of Canterbury, that was a noble clerk and a holy man, and said, Sir, what will ye do? Will ye shame all knighthood? Is not King Arthur your father, and your mother's brother? And upon her he himself begat you, upon his own sister. Therefore how may you wed your own father's wife? Sir, leave this opinion, other else I shall curse you with bell, book, and candle. Do thou thy worst, said Sir Mordred, and I defy thee. So the bishop departed, and did the cursing in the most augulous wise that might be done. Virtute facultatis a sede apostolica concessae, ego te excommunicatum declaro. So then he cast off his garments and fled unto Glastonbury. And there he was as priest hermit in a chapel, lived in poverty and in holy prayers. Then came there word to Sir Mordred that King Arthur was coming homeward with a great host to be avenged. Wherefore Sir Mordred made right unto all the barony of this land, and much people drew unto him. For then was the coming voice among them, that with King Arthur was never other life but war and strife, and with Sir Mordred was great joy and bliss. Wherefore Sir Mordred drew with a great host to Dover, and the most part of all England held with him, for the people was so newfangled. And so then there came sailing hitherward King Arthur with a great navy of ships, of galleys and of carracks, of cogs and of drummonds, of great boats and of small. And then was King Arthur so courageous that there might no manner of knight let him to land. And so he put Sir Mordred aback, that he fled and all his people. But when the battle was done, Sir Gawain was found half dead in a great boat. "Ah, mine uncle King Arthur," said Sir Gawain, "wit you well that my death day be come, and all I may wit mine own hastiness. For thorough me and my pride ye have all this sorrow. For had Sir Lancelot been with you, this unhappy war had never been begun. For oftentimes we do many things that we ween for the best be, yet peradventure it turneth to the worst. And therefore I pray you that I may have paper, pen, and ink, that I may write a letter to Sir Lancelot." So, when paper, pen, and ink was brought, he wrote thus: "Sir Lancelot, unto thee, flower of all noble knights, I, Sir Gawain, King Lot's son of Orkney, send thee greeting. For I beseech thee, Sir Lancelot, for all the love that ever was betwixt us, make no tarrying, but come over the sea in all the goodly haste ye may, and rescue that noble king with all your noble knights. For he made thee knight, and is now full straitly bestad with an false traitor, which is my half-brother Sir Mordred, and therefore I pray thee, come over the sea, good Sir Lancelot, for very pity of the table that is broken." And the date of this letter was written but 2 hours and a half before my death. Wherefore I require thee, most famous knight of the world, that thou wilt see my tomb. So, upon Trinity Sunday at night, King Arthur dreamed a wonderful dream. And in his dream him seemed that he sat in a chair, and the chair was fast to a wheel. And so he thought there was under him, far from him, an hideous deep black water, and therein was all manner of serpents and worms and wild beasts, foul and horrible. And suddenly the king thought the wheel turned up so down, and he fell among the serpents. Then him seemed verily that in his dream there came Sir Gawain unto him with a number of fair ladies. So when King Arthur saw him, he said, "What mean you? And what be these ladies that hither be come with you?" "Sir," said Sir Gawain, "all these be ladies for whom I have foughten for while I was man living. And God hath given them grace, by cause I did battle for them, that they should bring me hither unto you for to warn you of your death. And therefore I pray you, take a treaty for a month day with Sir Mordred. For an ye fight as to morn with Sir Mordred, doubt ye not ye shall be slain." Then Sir Gawain and all the ladies vanished. Anon, the king awoke and arose and called up all his knights, and so drew him with his host down by the seaside westward towards Salisbury. So Sir Mordred drew him hither with an grim host of 100,000 men. Then were they condescended that King Arthur and Sir Mordred should meet not far from the seaside. But ere Arthur should depart, he warned all his host that an ye see any manner of sword drawn, look that ye come on fiercely, and so slay that traitor Sir Mordred, for I in no wise trust him. In likewise Sir Mordred warned all his host that an ye see any manner of sword drawn, look that ye come on fiercely, and so slay all that ever before you standeth, for in no wise I will not trust for this treaty, for I know my father will be avenged upon me. And so they met, and wine was fetched, and they drank together. Right so came out an adder of a little heath bush, and it stung a knight in the foot. And when that knight felt him so stung, he drew his sword to slay the adder, and thought none other harm. But when the hosts on both parties saw that sword drawn, then they blew beamish music, trumpets and horns, and shouted grimly. So both hosts dressed them together. There never was the scene a more doleful a battle in no Christian land. There was but rushing and riding, foining and striking, and many a grim word was there spoken either to other, and many a deadly stroke. And thus they fought all the long day, and never stinted till the noble knights were laid to the cold earth, and ever they fought still till it was near night. And by that time was there 100,000 lay dead upon the down. King Arthur looked about him, and then was he ware of all his host and of all his good knights were no more on live, but 2 knights. The one was Sir Lucan the butler, and the other his brother Sir Bedivere, and they were full sore wounded. "She's you mercy," said the king. "Where have all my noble knights become? Alas, that ever I should see this doleful day. For now I am come to mine end, and now the round table is broken and disparbled forever." And then was he where Sir Mordred stood leaning upon his sword among a great heap of dead men. "Give me my spear," said Arthur unto Sir Lucan, "for yonder I have espied the traitor knight that all this woe hath wrought." "Sir, let him be," said Sir Lucan, "for he is unhappy. For God's sake, my lord, leave off this. Remember you of your dream. For God be praised, ye have won the field. For yet we be here 3 on life, and with Sir Mordred is not 1 on life. Tide me death, tide me life," said the king. "Now I see him yonder alone. He shall never escape my hand." Then the king gat his spear in both his hands, and ran towards Sir Mordred, crying and saying, "Traitor, now is thy death day come." And there King Arthur smote Sir Mordred under the shield with the foin of his spear, throughout the body more than a fathom. When Sir Mordred felt that he had his death wound, he thrust himself with the might that he had up to the bird of King Arthur's spear, and right so he smote his own father, King Arthur, that the sword pierced the helmet and the brain-pan. Therewith Mordred dashed down stark dead to the earth. The noble Arthur fell to the earth, and there he swooned oft times. Sir Lucan and Sir Bedivere oft times hove him up. So, weakly betwixt them, they led him to a little chapel not far from the seaside. When the king was there, he thought him well eased. Then heard they people cry in the field. Now go thou, Sir Lucan, said King Arthur, and do me to wit what betokens that noise in the field. So Sir Lucan departed. So as he yode, he saw and hearkened by the moonlight how that pillars and robbers were coming to the field to pill and to rob full many a noble knight of brooches and beads, of many a good ring and many a rich jewel. And who that were not dead all out, there they slew them for their harness and their riches. When Sir Lucan understood this work, he came again to the king and told him all that he had heard and seen. Ah, Sir Lancelot, said the king, this day have I sore missed thee. Alas, that ever I was against thee, for now I have my death, whereof Sir Gawain me warned in my dream. So Sir Lucan took up the king the one part, and Sir Bedivere the other part. And in the lifting, Sir Lucan fell in a swoon, that part of his guts brast out of his body. And therewithal, a noble knight, his heart brast. So Sir Bedivere wept for the death of his brother. Now leave thou this mourning and weeping, gentle knight, said the king, for all this will not avail me, for my time passeth on fast. Therefore take thou here Excalibur, my good sword, and go with it to yonder waterside, and when thou comest there, I charge thee, throw my sword in that water, and come again, and tell me what thou seest there. So Sir Bedivere departed, and by the way he beheld that noble sword, that the pommel and the haft were all precious stones. And then he said to himself, if I throw this rich sword into the water, thereof will never come good, but harm and loss. So he hid Excalibur under a tree, and came again to the king, and said he had been at the water, and had thrown the sword into the water. What saw thou there? Said the king. Sir, he said, I saw nothing but waves and winds. That is untruly said of thee, said the king, and therefore go thou lightly again, and do my commandment. Then Sir Bedivere returned again, and took the sword in his hand, and yet him thought sin and shame to throw away that noble sword. And so eft he hid the sword, and came again to the king, and said he had been at the water, and done his commandment. What saw thou there? Said the king. Sure, he said, I saw nothing but waters wap, and waves wan. Ah, traitor unto me, and untrue, said King Arthur. Now hast thou betrayed me twice. Thou art named a noble knight, and would betray me for the riches of this sword. But now go again lightly, for thy long tarrying putteth me in great jeopardy of my life, for I have taken cold. But if thou do now as I bid thee, I shall slay thee with mine own hands. Then Sir Bedivere departed, and went to the sword, and lightly took it up. So went with it to the waterside, and there he threw the sword as far into the water as he might. And there came an arm and an hand from out the water, and met it and caught it, So shook it thrice and brandished, then vanished away with the sword into the water. So Sir Bedivere came again to the king and told him what he saw. Alas, said the king, help me hence, for I dread me I have tarried over long. Then Sir Bedivere took the king upon his back, and so went with him to the waterside. By the bank there were 3 queens beside a little barge. And the one was King Arthur's sister, Queen Morgan le Fay. The other was the Queen of North Gallis. The third was the Queen of the Wastelands. Now put me into that barge, said the king. And so he did softly, and in one of their laps King Arthur laid his head, and anon they rode from the land. And when Sir Bedivere beheld all those ladies go from him, he cried, Ah, my lord Arthur, what will become of me now ye go from me? Comfort thyself, said the king, and do as well as thou mayest, for in me is no trust for to trust in. I will into the vale of Avilion to heal me of my grievous wound. If thou hear never more of me, pray for my soul. Sir Bedivere had lost sight of the barge, he wept and wailed, and so took the forest. Thus of Arthur I find no more written, neither more of the very certainty of his death heard I never read. Yet some men say in many parts of England that King Arthur is not dead, but had by the will of our Lord Jesu into another place, and men say that he shall come again. I will not say that it shall be so, but rather I would say, here in this world he changed his life. And men say there is written upon his tomb this verse, Hic jacet Arturus, rex quondam, rexque futurus, a once and future king. Meantime, Sir Lancelot passed over the sea with all his host until he came to Dover. But then the people told him how that King Arthur was slain, and showed him the course of Sir Gawain. Alas, said Sir Lancelot, we came too late. Against death can no man rebel. But sithen it is so, I will myself ride and seek my lady Queen Guinevere. For I hear say she is fled into the west. And so he departed and rode westily, and at the last he came to Almesbury, to a nunnery. And then was Queen Guinevere ware of Sir Lancelot as she walked in the cloister. So when she saw him there, she swooned. And when she awoke, she said to all her ladies, Thorough this same man and me hath all this war been wrought. Therefore, Sir Lancelot, wit thou well, I am in such a plight to get my soul healed. Therefore I beseech thee, for all the love that ever was betwixt us, that thou never see me more in the visage. For as well as I have loved thee heretofore, mine heart will not serve now to see thee, for thorough thee and me is the flower of kings and knights destroyed. Therefore, Sir Launcelot, go to thy realm, and there take thee a wife, and live with her in joy and bliss. Nay, my sweet madam, said Sir Launcelot, would ye that I should turn again unto my country, and there to wed a lady? Nay, madam, the same destiny that ye have taken you to, I will take me unto. Ah, Sir Launcelot, said the queen, if ye will do so and hold thy promise, but I may never believe you, but that ye will turn to the world again. Well, madam, said he, ye say as it pleaseth you, but in the quest of the San Grail, I had that time forsaken the vanities of the world, had not our love been. And if I had done so at that time, with my heart, will, and thought, I'd passed all the knights that were in the San Grail, except Sir Galahad, my son. And therefore, lady, sithen ye have taken you to perfection, I must needs take me to perfection of rise. For sithen I find you thus disposed, I will ever take me to penance and pray while my life lasteth, if that I may find any hermit, either grey or white, that will receive me. Wherefore, madam, I pray you, kiss me, and never no more. Nay, said the queen, that shall I never do, but abstain you from such works. And so I departed. There was never so hard-and-hearted man, but he would have wept to see the dollar that they made. For there was lamentation, as they had been stungen with spears, and many times they swooned. And Sir Launcelot awoke, and went and took his horse, and rode all that day and all night in a forest, weeping. At the last, he was aware of an hermitage, and a chapel stood betwixt two cliffs. And he that sang mass was the Bishop of Canterbury, that was an hermit. And there also he found Sir Bedivere, and they three spake together after mass. But when Sir Bedivere had told his tale all whole, Sir Launcelot's heart almost brast for sorrow, and he threw his arms abroad and said, Alas, who may trust this world? Meantime, the host abode at Dover. Then Sir Bors de Ganis made them for to go home again. And then he and Sir Ector de Maris and more other of Sir Launcelot's kin took on them to ride all England over thwart and endlong to seek Sir Launcelot. So Sir Bors by fortune came to the same chapel where Sir Launcelot was as an hermit. And within half a year there were come Sir Galahad, Sir Galihodin, Sir Blamore, Sir Bleoberis, Sir Villiers, Sir Clarus, and Sir Gahalantine. So all these 7 noble knights abode there still. For when they saw that Launcelot had taken him to such perfection, They had no lust to depart, but took such an habit as he had. So their horses went where they would, for their lords took no regard of no worldly riches. And thus upon a night there came a vision to Sir Lancelot, and charged him to haste him unto Almesbury, and so he did, and went with all his fellows. And when he came there, Queen Guinevere died but half an hour afore. Then Sir Lancelot saw her visage, but he wept not greatly, but sighed. And when she was laid in the earth, Sir Lancelot's heart almost brast for sorrow, and he fell in a swoon, till the bishop came and awaked him and said, Ye be to blame, for ye displease God with such manner of sorrow-making. Truly, said Sir Lancelot, I wot full well that I have displeased God. But when I remember me of her beauty and of her noblesse, and how by my default, mine augurity, and my pride, that they were both laid full low, that were peerless among Christian people, which you well this remembered, of their kindness and my unkindness, sank so to my heart that I might not sustain myself. Then Sir Lancelot never after ate but little meat or drank, for then he sickened more and more, and dried and dwined away. And then he called the bishop unto him that was an hermit, and said, Wit you well, my careful body will into the earth. I have warning now more than I will say. Therefore give me my rights. So when he had had all that a Christian man ought to have, he prayed the bishop that his fellows might bear his body to Joyous Gard. For I made mine a vow sometime, said Sir Lancelot, that in Joyous Gard I would be buried. So, after midnight against day, as the bishop lay in his bed asleep, he fell upon a great laughter. And therewithal his fellowship awoke, and came and asked him how he ailed. Ah, Jesu mercy, said the bishop, why did ye awake me? I was never in all my life so merry nor so well at ease. Wherefore, said Sir Bors, truly, said the bishop, here was Sir Lancelot with me, with more angels than ever I saw men in one day. And I saw them smile upon Sir Lancelot, and so summon him, and so heave him up unto heaven. And the gates of heaven were opened against him. Go ye to his bed, and there shall ye prove the sooth. So when they came there, they found him stark dead, and he lay as he had smiled, and the sweetest savour about him that ever they felt. On the morn, the bishop did his mass of requiem, and after, the bishop and all the knights put Sir Lancelot in the same horse bier that Queen Guinevere was laid in tofore that she was buried. And so they all together went with the body of Sir Lancelot until they came to Joyous Gard, and ever they had 100 torchbearers about them, and there they laid his corse in the body of the choir. Thus, as they were at their service, there came riding hitherward Sir Hector de Maris, that had 7 years sought all England, Scotland, and Wales, over thwart and endlong, seeking his brother Sir Lancelot. And when he heard such noise and light in the choir of Joyous Gard, he alit and put his horse from him and came into the choir. When he saw Sir Lancelot's visage, he cried and threw his helmet and shield and sword from him. Ah, Lancelot, thou art head of all Christian knights, and now there thou liest, thou that were never matched of earthly knight's hand. And thou art the courteous knight that ever bare shield, and thou art the truest friend that ever bestrad horse. And thou wast the truest lover for a sinful man that ever loved woman, and thou wast the kindest man that ever struck with sword, and thou wast the goodliest person that ever went among press of knights, and thou wast the meekest man and the gentlest that ever ate in hall among ladies. Thou wast the sternest knight to thy mortal foe that ever put spear in the rest. Thus they kept Sir Lancelot's body on loft 15 days, and then they buried it with great devotion. Those that were Sir Lancelot's friends, Sir Bors de Ganis, Sir Hector de Maris, Sir Gahalitine, Sir Galihodin, Sir Galihud, Sir Blamore, Sir Bleoberis, Sir Villiers the Valiant, Sir Clarus of Claremont. All these knights drew them to their countries, and there they lived in their countries as holy men. The end of the book of King Arthur, and of his noble knights of the Round Table, that when they were whole together, there was ever 140. I pray you all, gentlemen and gentlewomen, that readeth this book from the beginning to the ending, pray for me while I am on live and a prisoner, that God send me good deliverance. For this book was ended the 9th year of the reign of King Edward IV by Sir Thomas Malory, Knight.